Hi, my name is Cindy and this is my first YouTube video. I am a crochet enthusiast and I have my own very tiny little crochet business where I make custom toys. Today, I thought I would talk about what my things look like in the beginning versus what they look like now, because in the beginning, things were rough. Hopefully it gives some confidence to those of you who might be starting out and things are not going so well, and to know that things will get better. I thought I would talk to you about a few of my own learning experiences along the way so that hopefully you can laugh a little bit at me and with me and have a little bit more patience with yourself as you're learning this new skill, because it does take time and you will make mistakes, and I promise it gets better and easier. Just give yourself a little bit of grace along the way. So let's get started. Let's go back in time to when I first started crocheting, which is about 3 years ago. Can you imagine what that was? I was stuck at home here with my precious family, and we have a unique situation because my mother, who is totally blind, lives with us. So it was my mother, me, my son, my daughter, my husband, and our 3 dogs. Doesn't that just sound homey and perfect? And it was. It was, except when it wasn't, because we were together a lot, and I needed some way to channel my own anxiety. I had to do something with my hands. I like to do adult coloring books. I like to paint. I enjoy a little bit of sketching, really not my strong suit. And then I remembered I had a crochet hook and some yarn. And you want to guess what color my yarn was? It was black. Black variegated yarn. You know what color you should never start learning a new skill with in crochet? It's black. Well, that's what I had. So I just went with it. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. I highly recommend never do that. But then I started watching a bunch of videos, got a few tips and some ideas of yarns to try. So I got online and I bought yarns. But when I bought yarns, I was not thinking of everything you need to think about when you buy yarn. And that is the fiber content. It makes a difference in whatever you're deciding to make. And the first time I did pretty well. This blanket. It is the color of a sunset because I thought, COVID, we are riding off into the sunset. We are probably gonna die. That was what I thought. Anxiety, it's a thing. You go down weird rabbit holes. This was my rabbit hole, my COVID sunset of death. I designed this. You want to know my design? It was all double crochet, top to bottom, double crochet. This was a very boring blanket to make, but I tell you, I know how to double crochet. The problem that I had with this was I didn't know where my last stitch was or where to begin my first stitch. The top of my blanket is much narrower than the bottom of my blanket. If you tried to fold this, there's no way you were going to make this fold into a nice, neat square. It's just not going to happen. One leg is cold or one shoulder is cold. It does not fully cover anybody. We ended up giving it to my dogs, literally. They enjoyed it. It fit them okay. So there's that. It was a good learning piece. The other thing I tried to do with this blanket was to hide the fact that I had no idea what I was doing. I thought, let's put a border on it. A border will hide all these imperfections. It will make it better. It'll seem more even. That is not true. And the border I decided to add was a ruffle. A ruffle all the way around. And I now know that ruffles are cute-ish. This is not what I would put on most of my blankets now, but I did then. It was more double crochet. Lots more double crochet all the way. It didn't hide a thing, nothing. But once again, the dogs enjoy it, so you know, that's good. I started practicing more and more, and I bought a bunch of burlap blanket yarn. And I was making blankets right and left for my friends' children, my friends of friends, all blankets with the idea that I was going to die and they needed a memory of me. I didn't want to be forgotten, so I thought, what better way for them to remember me than to make them a blanket? And I decided I needed to try something new, and I hadn't made anything for my family. I wanted to make my son a blanket. I was getting courage. I wanted to try some new things. I decided to try a corner-to-corner blanket. And my son loves Minecraft. And I saw this yarn online and I thought, oh, this will be perfect. I can make him a Minecraft blanket, and the corner to corner will have the little squares. It'll be perfect. As a 9-year-old, he's just going to cherish this, because you know 9-year-olds cherish all their blankets, especially handmade ones by their mother. I made him this big old blanket. The only thing that I did not do, and remember I said fiber content, it matters. This is wool. It's all wool. It's chunky wool. We live in Texas. The armpit of Texas, actually. We live right outside of Houston. It's rarely ever cold enough to need a wool blanket. And my son, at the time, he was 9 years old, and this blanket is a good 10 pounds. It's about a quarter of his weight. This was a bit much. It was even too big for him just to lift and wrap up. We've put it in a storage container in the guest room now. He loves it, he cares, but this is a bit much. Once again, fiber content, it matters. Wool, maybe not the best thing, and chunky wool especially, probably not the best thing for a blanket in Texas. Then my daughter. She was, 5 at the time. She's very jealous of her brother and she wanted a blanket. And I had this real pretty velvet yarn. She said that that was a nice color for her, and I let her pick a pattern, and she chose a star pattern. I thought, well, that'll be good. It'll give me a chance to work on increasing and decreasing, and this will be a great learning opportunity. Maybe it was, I don't know. I think I was watching a lot of TV and I was not paying attention to stitch counts, and I still wasn't reading my stitches very well. And this blanket, it is pitiful. The stitches are coming out. I used too large of a hook. And when you hold it up, this middle part is really saggy, and it's really not the shape of a star at all. It is a shape, but not a star. She enjoyed it, sort of. I was embarrassed by it, and it's now with the wool blanket in the guest room and a box. And that's probably where it's gonna stay. I had really practiced a bunch of blankets. I was learning new stitches, new techniques, and I was getting better and better with blankets, but I wanted to expand my horizons. I decided to try my first bag. I found a pattern on Yarnspirations. I thought, this is gonna be great. And this is before I knew about stitch markers, that they are a wonderful tool. I know some people do not like them. I am a stitch marker addict. I have a lot and I am not sorry. I use them for everything. This lovely bag, I got stripes. I was learning color changing. The only thing is I was having trouble with the slip stitch and chain one. Once again, I was not figuring out where the first stitch should go in each of these, and that is evident because the bottom, there's something weird going on in this corner. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what I did there. Something happened and I don't know. And I decided to try and hide it by adding a lovely flower. And the flower really turned out great. Did it hide the fact that the top is narrower than the bottom? No, it didn't hide that, because this bag is not supposed to look like that. It is supposed to be the same width all the way around. Not the way I did it. I've never used it. I'm a little embarrassed by it. And probably nobody would notice, but I'm a perfectionist and I would know. It has stayed on a coat rack hidden behind a lot of coats that we don't use in Texas. Now remember, I was making a lot of blankets with the burlap blanket yarn. I had a bunch left over and the colors I had were white and black. My son, he loves panda bears, and I thought I can make him a panda bear. He's gonna love this. He's gonna love a panda bear. The other thing to think about when making amigurumi, because that ended up being what I love to make, is amigurumi and things in the round, is sometimes you have to adjust a pattern for the yarn that you're using, and I did not know that then. This guy, he should have been adjusted. There's nothing, pandas don't look like this. Poor guy, his head, it doesn't stay up. He's got a very tiny neck for all of this. His arms and legs are okay. They're okay. I don't remember what this pattern is. I probably blocked it from my mind. He scares my little boy. And he asked for me to put this panda in the top of his closet, hidden behind a suitcase and a box. I did, because I understood the fright that this guy might cause. It was understandable. and didn't hurt my feelings because I agreed. I offered to throw it away, but for some reason my son thought my feelings would be hurt if we did that. They're not. They're not. He wants to keep this guy. So we are. He takes up a lot of space, and bless. Then my mother, like I said, is totally blind. Everything I do, my mother loves. She will touch it and she just thinks it's magnificent. But once again, guys, she is blind. Sometimes you just have to take what she thinks with a grain of salt. And as a parent, she's going to think whatever I do is okay. Just the best she's ever seen. But once again, she's blind. I made her a bunny. This was in a pattern book by the lady who has Repeat Crafter Me. Yarn fiber matters. This is Lily Sugar and Cream cotton because everybody said use cotton. There are different types of cotton, different sizes of cotton. This is not the right cotton for this guy, and cotton is honestly my least favorite yarn. It hurts my hands. It is just hard for me to work with, especially doing amigurumi, especially a number 4. I would not recommend it. It's a great yarn, not for this, for me. My only complaint with the patterns in that book is she would slip stitch at the end of each row, chain 1, and keep moving on. The problem with that is it leaves seam lines, and it looks like this poor guy has had some terrible scarring from some surgeries he's obviously had, or she, I'm not sure which it is. There's lots of holes. Its head was not sewn on very well, and so I made a bow to cover it up, and once again, we're trying to add embellishments to make things better, and really they don't. They don't always add extra pretty to something that's already ugly. They just add extra ugly to something that's already ugly. And if you think this is cute, bless you. Thank you so much. And if you don't, that's okay too, because I don't. His little tail is barely hanging on. I had yet to learn how to really sew in my ends. His little arm is just hanging on by a thread, literally. We're gonna put him away. It got better. They're sewn on correctly, and I learned all these different techniques, and it just improved and improved and improved. The more I practiced, the better it got. And in some of my later videos, I will give some crochet tips, some of my own tools that I like to use. I don't only do amigurumi, I do some blankets. I do not make garments necessarily because, once again, I live in Texas. I am perimenopausal and I am hot. The thought of even making a sock, a sweater, a scarf, or a hat, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I just start sweating profusely just at the thought of that. So I do not make those things. Not to say I won't at some point. We are just not there. Until the hot flashes are gone, we are just thinking about toys and very light blankets to give to other people that are cold. It's not me. If you've stuck around this long for this video, thank you. Please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. I'm hoping to do more content related to crochet, crafts. If there's anything else you would like to see me do, please just leave me a comment. And I look forward to seeing you next time here on the Roomy Mill.